everyone, and welcome back to your daily government and financial news update. In today's video, we'll be discussing the high rate of inflation and how that's impacting all Americans. Other than that, I will also be going over 2023 cost of living adjustment for Social Security recipients and why it may be a pipe dream, but how Social Security beneficiaries can potentially receive a boost of over 23% in their pay. And finally, we go over some updates in the stock market and Bitcoin. Okay, so good old inflation is a word that we just can't seem to get rid of it in our vocabulary. Every single day, we get a constant reminder of just how big of a nightmare it actually is. Everywhere we go, whether it's at a grocery store, the gas station, the mall, to buy new clothes, your electric bill, or anything else, it's all so much higher than in years prior. Now, normally, this is something that we could expect as inflation does usually run about 2% every single year. This means that something that started the year at $1 might increase by 2 cents in the following year. At the very least, it's sort of being accepted by society as a healthy economy, and 2% really isn't that big of a deal until compounded over 10 years, or 2% every single year ends up being 20% inflation over that time frame. Of course, what's scary is that since January the 1st of 2021, if you had $1 sitting on your desk, that same $1 is now worth only 88 cents. Yes, in a period of fewer than 2 years, your purchasing power diminished by 12%. And by yours, it will likely officially be worth even less, not to mention on certain items, inflation has risen even more. Now, thankfully for workers, wages have risen as well. So that makes up for some of the inflation that has taken place. Although on the negative side of things, even though wages have risen by around 5% over the last year, since inflation has jumped by over 9%, people have actually lost 4% when accounting for inflation. And for those on a fixed income such as Social Security, since January of this year, they haven't seen even a raise of a single penny. When President Biden took office, he campaigned on raising Social Security benefits by $200 every single month, something he hasn't yet been able to accomplish. Of course, we still have 3 full months left before next year, so we will give him until then to see if it will actually ever happen. Also, this week on Thursday, Social Security beneficiaries will hopefully finally at least get some good news, since that's when inflation data for September will be released. And it will also let us know how much of a COLA increase they will be receiving for next year. According to most predictions, including mine, they should be getting a rate of right around 8.7%. Just to be clear, Social Security recipients couldn't see this rate until all the way in January of next year, even though inflation is hitting us now. And now could actually be the best time for them to begin this extra money. I mean, why are we waiting all the way until January of next year for people on Social Security who did receive 8.7% more on their money when their paychecks now have been diminished by 8.7%? According to DisabilitySecrets.com, the average SSI payment this year is $604 per month. Well, guess what? What was worth $604 on January the 1st of this year, it's now only worth slightly over $557, all because of inflation. That's a loss of over $46 in just 9 months. And we are really going to wait for all the way until January to make these adjustments. Now, the real hope for people on SSI, SSDI, and other Social Security recipients, including retirement, is that if they do raise everyone's benefit by $200, the rates will be much more than 8.7%. For example, The average benefit for those receiving SSDI this year is around $1,358, although as mentioned, almost 2/3 of recipients actually receive less than that amount. For this example, if $1,358 end up receiving the 8.7% raise in 2023, they could end up seeing an increase of $118 per month up to $1,476. Let's say that President Biden and Congress are finally able to boost benefits for everyone on Social Security by $200 per month as promised. In that case, the same person now receiving $1,358 after the 8.7% COLA increase in the $200 boost within the receiving $1,676 monthly, a raise from $1,358 up to $1,670. $6 could be a boost of 23.4% or $318 per month. Now, this amount could still make it pretty difficult for me to get by after a rising cost of everything, but I'm sure any extra money could certainly be welcomed. Of course, whether or not this $200 monthly boost would actually happen is hard to say. Right now, every single representative in the House is more fixated on the re-election campaigns. With the election now less than 1 month away, I mean, it's unlikely they will care enough about Americans getting anything done until they know that their contract is renewed for another 2 years. The same can also be said for members of the US Senate, where 34 of the 100 seats will also be up for grabs. Keep in mind and never forget, these are the exact same people being paid by us to be in Washington with an annual salary of $174,000 per year, so I really doubt that inflation has been hitting them that much. Of course, they might argue that they haven't seen a raise since 2009 or 2010, that they've annually voted to not accept any type of increase, but don't feel too bad. Earning $174,000 per year is still more than enough to put some food on the table. And not too bad considering that the House has only averaged 146 working days a year since 2001. That means that for every day that they work, they are receiving around 2.5 days off of work, and the days that they actually work well. It's questionable whether they are even getting done. So again, on Thursday of this week, we will know how many more Social Security recipients will get for their 2023 adjustments. And hopefully by the end of this year or early on next year, we see some more progress on the bills that hope to reform Social Security. Now, in some money news, the stock market will once again open up the day after an absolutely horrendous way in the last week on Friday. And so far, today futures are down, with Dow futures in the red by 0.50%, S&P 500 futures are down by 0.6%, and Nasdaq futures are down as well by 0.81%. As mentioned earlier, the inflation data for the month of September will be released on Thursday of this week, which should play a really huge impact on how the rest of this month plays out. If inflation data comes in hotter than expected and shows that inflation hasn't really cooled as much as it should have, then we will likely see more dips in the market to come. However, if on the other hand, we see that inflation has actually cooled much more than expected, investors would likely see this as a good thing, and we might just be able to finish October off on a strong note. Now, over the last day, Bitcoin has also been down by right around 1%. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day ahead, and I will see you then.